today, and you, Maddie.
Yes.
We missed you last time.
I missed you guys last time too.
But that's okay, because I did a fabulous job with the camera all by myself.
Well, I'm not surprised. Although this isn't the only change from last week. There's another big change about this week.
I'm not
too.
going to play my guitar.
You're not gonna play
No.
your guitar, and
there's more?
we're in a different place right now.
We are in a different, well, we're in the
Yeah.
same house.
We're
We're
at
the
house.
same house.
Yeah. Mhm.
But this is a front yard devotional, like
Yes.
that young Pastor Lou does.
Mhm.
He does his in the backyard.
Yeah. Do you want to show them our front yard?
Oh, I do. I do.
Yeah.
Point this camera.
Oh yeah. that
Okay.
camera. At the
So, at the flowers, they're right over there.
Granny Lynch, the camera is showing your mouth. It's not showing the flowers. You have to turn it around. You want to turn it like, there you go. You
Oh,
got
this is a challenge.
it. It is a bit of a
This is
challenge.
our front porch with a rocking chair and some
Mhm.
plants and oh, that's our neighbor across the street.
Mhm.
And those are other plants and a neighbor. Oh, and look at this cool thing. Actually, this belongs to my granddaughter.
Mhm.
She got it from the teacher drive. Did you know that?
That's sweet.
Somebody at the church got it for her. Isn't that sweet? That's the
Mhm.
front door. That's a car.
That is a car.
You know, for this video, we might hear a lot of cars
Yeah.
because we're outside and there's a big street right over there. But if we were inside, do you know what we would hear?
Probably the cars, but a little bit quieter.
No,
Oh, the TV probably then.
we would hear football playing.
Mhm.
And you know what I think is so silly?
What do you think is so silly?
You can hear the people saying things like, you know, oh, and he's running for the third base touch, and then you hear people cheering, but there are no people there.
Oh yeah.
There's
Those are
no
so
people
much fun.
watching the games.
I've heard that some of our friends from church have been able to log in online so that during the sports game, when it like shows the audiences and everything, it'll actually show the kids at home from one of their cameras.
We should send this video.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we did during the football game.
That would be
That's
fun.
not the idea, is it?
I don't think that's the idea.
That's
but
okay.
that's okay. We can get the hang of that
So,
later.
if you want to cheer, woo, the way they are for the sports game, but you can do it for us, you're allowed.
That would be fun. That would be cool.
Send me a video because that would be exciting.
Mm-hmm. All right, Granny Lynch, what are we learning today?
Guess what? More chapter concepts.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible is very long,
Yes, it is.
and there's so much good stuff to learn in there. So we have even more chapter concepts. Did you know that there are 150? And that each year we learn 50?
150 chapter concepts?
Yes?
Wow. That's pretty cool.
I wasn't clear. It could have been 150 what? Anything. 150 chickens.
150.
But in fact, there are 150 chapter concepts. And the first year we learned all the Old Testament ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw the video of Leah Melendez doing it, but she remembered
That's really
all.
cool.
Maybe other people did too, but they didn't send me a video, so I don't know. And now we've just done another 25. We're halfway through the Gospels, and that means we've done 75 chapter concepts.
Wow. That's a lot.
That's a lot of chapter concepts. But that also means we know where half of the important stuff in the Bible is.
Mm-hmm.
And we will learn the other half, and then when we are walking down the street and someone says, I will give you $50 if you can tell me where to find the story of the prodigal son, then we can say, Luke 15, and we get $50.
Nice.
That's never happened to me.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe I should go out on the street one day then.
And
Grab
accost
some
me.
cash. Yeah, exactly.
Why do we need to know?
Well,
It's not for money.
No, it's not for money. It's just important whenever maybe there's a story that really speaks to you or that's important to you, Or maybe you're talking with a friend who might not know about Jesus, and they ask about a particular story that they heard about that seemed kind of crazy, and you'll just be able to be like, oh, wait a second, I know that story. It's in Genesis 11, the Tower of Babel. It sounds pretty crazy, but once you're able to open up the book and show them the real story, it makes it a lot easier to explain.
That's right. And then you'll know where, it's not everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like even today, the ones that we're going to do today, in the chapters that we're talking about, other things happen.
Mm-hmm.
But these are kind of the highlights, the things in fact, most of these I think you already know.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't know where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to learn where they are.
Okay.
All right, well, so we'll start. We already did Matthew, and we did all of Mark, and now we're in Luke. Luke.
That's a good one.
Yes, Luke is a good one.
Yeah. So,
you know the story in Luke 10.
Yes.
There's a lot in Luke 10.
But Luke 10 has Jesus sends out the 72, woe to unrepentant cities, the return of the 72, Jesus rejoices in the Father's will, and then the parable of the Good Samaritan.
That's the one we know, and that's what we're going to say when we do our pattern.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to say Luke 10, the Good Samaritan.
Mm-hmm.
You know this story already.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? A Samaritan is like a sandwich. And it's so yummy. Am I getting that right?
No, not quite. So basically, Jesus is talking to a bunch of people, and a lawyer comes up and he asks, who is my neighbor? What do you mean when you say love your neighbor? Who are you talking about? And so Jesus goes on, he talks about that parable and everything.
He never really answers a question straight up, does he?
No.
He always has a parable or another question.
Yeah.
He helps us figure it out.
Mm-hmm. So those parables, they're just like little stories. We already know that fancy word.
We know the story of the Good Samaritan. You know, I was rereading it in preparation for Luke 10, the Good Samaritan. And I saw something I had not noticed before. I've read the Bible many times, but this time it really struck out to me.
Mm-hmm.
We know that a man was walking and was accosted by robbers.
What does that mean?
Accosted. He was robbed. They grabbed him and they beat him.
That's scary.
It was scary for that man, and they took everything he had, even his clothes.
Oh my goodness.
I know, it was
He must have
terrible.
been so afraid.
And then people saw him there.
Mm-hmm.
One person was a priest walking past him.
Well, was he surrounded by people, or was he all alone? Because it sounds like something that would happen if you were all alone.
He was all alone.
Oh, okay. And so people were just walking.
Oh, right. And then somebody just happened to be walking down that way and saw him was a priest, and the priest didn't do anything at all.
Oh my goodness.
I know. And then another person, a man of God, a Levite
Wow.
from the tribe of Israel of Levi, he walked past him, didn't help him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third man came by and helped him get to a safe place, gave money for him to stay at the safe place and make sure he was okay, and took good care of him.
That's really nice.
And then Jesus did his thing and he said, which one of those three men was the neighbor?
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't say, I'll tell you. He asked the lawyer, who said, what's a neighbor? He said, who do you think the neighbor is? And the lawyer guessed right.
Mm-hmm.
He said, the one who showed him mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus said, go and do the same.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes someone a neighbor, is someone who shows mercy. So I say neighbor, I just mean the house across the street that you saw. But a neighbor is someone to whom you show mercy.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I show mercy to all the people on my street, and even other people too. That's what makes a neighbor, according to Jesus.
That seems like a hard thing to do, and it's a little bit confusing if you think about it, I think. Because, well, is it everyone our neighbor? Does that mean we're everyone's neighbor? But then how can you only be a good neighbor to them if you show them mercy?
That's a good question.
And I think what it comes down to, or this is what I came up with, is, well, you can love someone very much.
Yes.
And you can also show that love to them.
Yes.
So you can love someone very much even while you're angry at them, and even when you shout at them because you just get so angry, but you're not really showing that love to them.
That's
when
right.
You're shouting
A
at
good
them.
neighbor shows mercy. Do you know what Jesus said right before he told the lawyer the story of the Good Samaritan?
What did he say?
He said the great commandment.
Interesting.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself.
Cool.
That's who a neighbor is. And then the lawyer said, well, who's my neighbor? And then that whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Good Samaritan.
That's an interesting one.
It is. I didn't notice that before. Students, do you ever read the Bible and see something you didn't notice before? Well,
Yeah.
God has something to show you. Luke 14. Luke 14. The cost of discipleship. The cost of discipleship. How much does it cost to follow Jesus? I think it's $50.
$50? Oh my goodness.
It's not, that's not
That
what the
would be
Bible
easy.
says. That would be easy if you had a job, which they don't.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe after your birthday, you get birthday money. Well, the cost of discipleship is everything.
That's a lot.
You have to be willing to give up everything for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had to give up everything to follow Jesus. Have you?
No.
Nope. But would you? That's the question, is would you give up everything? If God called you to live in a place that did not have running water or easy access to food, would you go and follow God's call? That's the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's a challenge.
That is a challenge.
All right, another one.
Another one is
Luke 15, the prodigal son.
This
You
is
know this one too.
one of my favorite parables.
It's in Luke 15.
Absolutely. Starts at verse 11.
Yes, that's right, because there's other things
There's
in
other
these
things.
chapters, but this is kind of the highlight.
Jesus said a lot.
He said a lot of things that are all important.
Mm-hmm.
The prodigal son. I've heard the story of the prodigal son from 3 different perspectives. I've heard it from the father, who has 2 sons. The youngest son wants his inheritance right away. Don't
What's
wait.
an inheritance?
That is a good question. When parents die, or even when they're alive, but they have a gift for their children, but usually when they die, they
Mhm.
give the gifts, the parents' things are divided up between the children. That's
Mhm.
the inheritance, the thing you get that used to belong to your parents.
Okay.
And the youngest son said, I don't want to wait for you to die. I don't want to wait for you to grow old. I want it right now. And the father said yes. And then the son went away. And as young people sometimes do, he was foolish,
Mm-hmm.
spent all of his money on frivolous and unimportant things until he ran out of money, and he had to get a job feeding pigs, and he didn't even have the same good food as the pigs had.
Ooh.
Yes. He didn't have the food. The pigs had better food than he did.
Ew.
So he went home. And the father was overjoyed because his son had returned. I've also heard it from the youngest son's perspective, that he knew he had done the foolish thing, spending all the money, and he was embarrassed to go home and worried would his father be angry, but he went home, and his father accepted him back with open arms. And then I've heard it from the oldest son's perspective, that he did not ask for his inheritance, and he stayed with his father, and he did all the work, and his little brother came back, and his father threw a party for his little brother, and he was like, I've been here the whole time, working the whole time, and you're having a big feast for him, but I've done all the work here. I've heard it from many different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it must have been really frustrating for that older brother. He must have been very disappointed that he had put in all of this work and this time he had shown his love
Yes.
for his father for all
He
of
did the
this
right
time. And the younger son had just been foolish and spent all of the money that he had wrongfully taken from his father and gone off and partied. And then when he came home, his dad threw a party for him,
I
the
know.
younger one. I would have been really frustrated too.
And you know, that's what the son said to the father.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Hey, I've been here the whole time working."
Mm-hmm.
And the father said something that I thought was very interesting. He said, "He was lost, and now he is found." And that made me think of me.
Mm-hmm.
God has given me so many blessings. And before I knew him, before I loved him, I didn't even care. I was lost. But then God opened my eyes to his love and his salvation, and I was found. And God didn't say, "Well, you did all these things wrong, so you don't get a party." He just welcomed me.
Mm-hmm. That's a good story.
It is. So that was Luke 15, the prodigal son. Luke 20 is so hard to understand.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try. It's called Questioning Jesus' Authority. So, here we go. Are you ready for this? The people in charge said, "Who gives you the authority? Where does your authority come from?" Well, we know the answer. And Jesus did not just say the answer like he often doesn't. He said, "Let me ask you a question. Was the baptism of John," remember John? "Was the baptism of John from heaven or man?" And then the people were like, "Well, I don't know. If we say that it was from heaven, then Jesus will say, well, then believe it. And if we say he was from man, people will be angry because John was a prophet. They believed John was a prophet." So you know what they said to Jesus? "We don't have an answer for you." And you know what Jesus said? "Then I don't have an answer for you." Jesus would not tell those people where his authority came from. Of course, in other places in the Bible, he tells. But in that story, he doesn't tell. Because you know what? He knew that they knew.
That's an interesting
It is. They didn't want to say it was from heaven because then Jesus would say, "You've answered your own question." But they knew. Jesus wouldn't tell them.
That's a cool one.
The last one is Luke 22, the Last Supper. And we know all about the Last Supper, but there were two things that I thought was very interesting.
Okay.
It wasn't just any old supper.
Hmm.
It was the Passover dinner.
Oh,
Did you know
that's
that?
an interesting
It just
one.
happened. God is so organized. And nothing happened by mistake. But God made sure that when Jesus enjoyed the Last Supper with his disciples, with his apostles, that it was also the Passover dinner. Do you know what is the Passover?
The Passover has to do with when the Hebrews were in Egypt, right?
Mm-hmm. It's the celebration when God sent the 10th plague on Pharaoh, and the 10th plague was that all the firstborn children would die, firstborn sons would die, and then the angel said, "Put lamb's blood on your door, and the angel of death will pass over your house."
And so all the Hebrews were able to be protected.
The Israelite children were saved by the blood of the lamb on their door.
Oh, and so that's why it's called Passover.
That's why it's
called
called
passed
over. The blood of the lamb protected and saved the children. Well, guess what? This was the Last Supper before the lamb, that is Jesus Christ, spilled his blood and died, so that we will be passed over and we will live in heaven forever.
Wow. So even though that story comes from the very beginning of the Old Testament,
The
all the way
Passover
over
story.
here, the
Yes.
Passover story, all the way over here in Luke 22, we even see connections to that story.
That's exactly right. God knew when the blood of the lamb was put over the Israelites' door that he would send a lamb whose blood would protect us and save us as well.
Cool.
He knows what he's doing. He
Mhm.
always has, and he always will.
That's awesome.
You've heard this before. Read Luke 22, 19 and 20, and it's going to sound very familiar, and this is what Jesus said at the Last Supper. Go ahead.
And he took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And likewise the cup after they had eaten, saying, "This cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood."
Doesn't that sound just like communion?
It does sound just like communion.
So, we remember the Passover story and the angel of death passing over the Israelite homes, and we remember the Last Supper right before Jesus died, and his blood washes away our sin, and even now, thousands of years after the Last Supper, we remember the Last Supper. We call it communion.
Wow.
Yes, in church.
That's so cool.
God is good.
God is good.
God is good. Let's do all five. From Luke 10 to Luke 22.
All five.
Chickens.
Okay. Good to know.
Not chickens. We'll do chapter concepts instead.
Okay.
Are you ready? We're going to do the pattern one
ready.
time through, and then we'll start saying it. Oh,
I'm getting ready
She
because
wants
I
you to
realized
see
they
that
couldn't
she's
see
stomping.
our legs that we were stomping. Okay.
all right. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. First, the pattern. Stomp, stomp, clap.
Stomp, stomp, clap.
Luke 10, the Good Samaritan. Luke 14, the cost of discipleship. Luke 15, the prodigal son. Luke 20, questioning Jesus' authority. Luke 22, the Last Supper. Oh, you are good at that.
You did a good
It's
job.
hard to say questioning Jesus' authority really fast.
Yeah.
But that's
It's
okay. It's not so important that we say it, it's that we remember it.
Yeah.
Friends, if you're remembering them, will you send me a video of you saying them? And I'll ask my granddaughter, Miss Mary, to put them in the email. The whole thing, all 30 gospel chapter concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you've done it. And if you have, I hope you'll send me a video.
Or maybe they could even just send a video of them practicing it while looking at the list.
Yes, if I
That would
wait,
be cool.
if I don't send videos unless they are perfect, I would never send a video.
Yeah.
You don't have to send a video if it's perfect. Just send a video.
Mm-hmm. That'd be fun.
Yes.
All right.
I'm glad you were with me
Yeah, me too.
this week. And boys and girls, I hope to see you again very soon. Remember that I love you and I miss you.
Bye.